Welcome back to the Malaysia Money Matters show. It's 10th Jan 25, and we've got a lot to go over today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all kind of pointing to some significant developments, both here in Malaysia and on the international scene.
Interesting.
So maybe we should just jump right into it.
Sounds good to me.
Let's start with what's happening right here at home in Malaysia. We've got company news, contract wins, and even a failed takeover attempt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's raising some eyebrows. Public bank's attempted takeover of LPI Capital didn't quite go as planned, huh?
Public bank, huh?
Yeah, they acquired a decent chunk of shares back in October 2024,
Okay.
but they just fell short of that 50% ownership they needed to complete the takeover.
So close, but so far.
Right. It's interesting, because public bank's initial move seemed pretty decisive,
Yeah.
especially like when they acquired those shares from the late founder's family.
I remember.
Yeah, it really looked like they were set on consolidating their position in the insurance market.
Makes you wonder what happened.
Right. Like, what are the implications for both Public Bank and LPI Capital?
Moving forward.
Moving forward, exactly.
Well, for public bank, it's got to be a setback, right?
Uh-huh.
They'll need to reassess their whole approach to growth. Like, I wonder, do they try again? Go for a full takeover, or do they focus on other avenues for expansion?
Right. It makes you wonder.
It really does. And, this situation, it also kind of signals that maybe there's more resistance to consolidation in the financial sector than we initially thought.
Yeah, that's a good point. What about LPI Capital? How does all this affect them?
I think for LPI Capital, this could be a period of, I don't know, maybe some uncertainty.
Sure.
They have to, navigate this relationship with Public Bank now,
All right.
which is now a major shareholder. And at the same time, they have to maintain their own strategic direction. It'll be fascinating to see how this all plays out.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. Now, shifting gears to a different sector, Dialog Group is making some moves with a major investment in the oil and gas industry.
Oh, yeah. They've secured the final investment decision.
They have, yeah, for the Baram Junior Cluster small field asset project.
Wow.
It's a U.S. $235 million deal,
Huge.
with Dialog holding a 70% stake.
Wow. 70%. That's major.
This is significant for a couple of reasons.
Okay, I'm listening.
First, it's a 14-year contract, which provides long-term revenue visibility for Dialog. Second, it marks their entry into the upstream sector.
Oh, wow.
They're expanding their portfolio beyond their traditional midstream operations.
I see.
It seems like they're strategically positioning themselves to capitalize on potential growth in the upstream segment, particularly in those smaller oil and gas fields.
That's a smart move, if they can pull it off.
It's a bold move. It could pay off big time if they execute it well. Now, speaking of success stories, Yinzhen Production is celebrating first oil from their FPSO Atlanta vessel in Brazil.
That's fantastic news for them. It's their third FPSO operating in the region, right?
It is.
Really solidifying their presence in the South American energy market.
Right, and this contract with Brava Energy SA, potentially worth U.S. $1.98 billion.
A lot of money.
Yeah, really underscores their growing influence in this sector.
It seems like they've found a niche, providing these specialized floating production solutions. And they're making some really significant strides
They are.
in a market with, tremendous potential. It's a company to watch, for sure.
Especially for investors interested in the energy sector.
And the growing demand for those offshore production solutions.
Right. Now, let's talk about T7 Global. They seem to be on a winning streak.
What have they done now?
They've secured yet another contract, this time with Hibiscus Petroleum,
Okay.
for maintenance and modification work on a production asset. It's located between Malaysia and Vietnam.
Interesting.
What's interesting here is the timing.
Oh.
This 6-month contract, with a possible 6-month extension,
All right.
it comes right after another recent contract win for T7 Global. It suggests they're gaining some real traction in the industry.
Yeah, definitely. They're building a solid reputation, it sounds like.
For delivering quality services, yeah, which is translating into repeat business and a growing order book.
Good for them. I wonder if they can keep this momentum going,
Right.
and maybe secure even larger contracts down the line. That would be something. Okay, so we've covered some pretty significant developments in the Malaysian corporate landscape. Maybe we should shift our focus now to international and political news that could have ripple effects on our economy and investments here in Malaysia.
Yeah, it's always in flux, that global landscape.
Always.
It's important to understand how those shifts might impact us here at home. Where do you want to start?
Well, HSBC analysts have released a report with some pretty intriguing predictions for the stock market in 2025. They're forecasting limited upside for the Malaysian market. which is a bit surprising.
Given our strong economic growth.
Yeah, exactly.
Seems counterintuitive.
It does, doesn't it? They cite high valuations compared to other ASEAN markets, and they suggest that the current rally we've been seeing might be losing some steam.
So they're saying the market has already priced in the positive news. So if they're not bullish on Malaysia, where are they seeing potential?
Well, they seem pretty optimistic about Hong Kong-listed Chinese stocks,
Okay.
predicting, get this, a 21% rise in 2025.
Wow.
So they see more room for growth there, even with the geopolitical risks.
It really just shows how important diversification is.
It does, doesn't it?
Investors shouldn't limit themselves to just a single market, especially when there might be, better opportunities elsewhere.
Absolutely. Spreading your investments across different regions, different asset classes can help to mitigate risks.
And potentially enhance returns.
Exactly.
Now, back on the home front, BMI analysts are sounding a note of caution.
Oh.
Yeah, about potential political friction within Malaysia's unity government.
Oh, interesting.
They're highlighting concerns that tensions between the different parties in the government could create some roadblocks for Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's reform plans.
Specifically, they're pointing to pushback from UMNO against rumors of a key minister
potentially joining
Anwar's party.
This raises concerns about political stability and its impact on the economy. Investors, they value predictability, and any sign of political turmoil can just lead to uncertainty and market volatility.
That's true. Political stability is, super crucial for attracting foreign investment, for maintaining a healthy economic environment.
Exactly.
Any kind of prolonged friction within the government,
Yeah.
it could undermine investor confidence
Yeah.
and hinder progress on those key economic initiatives.
So while Malaysia's economic fundamentals seem strong,
On the surface.
the political landscape adds a layer of complexity that investors really need to factor in.
I agree. It's like this constant reminder that political and economic factors, they're all intertwined. And it's essential to consider both when you're assessing the overall investment climate. Okay, let's move on to some international news.
Okay.
With potential global implications, the Swiss National Bank, they're expected to announce record profits for 2024.
Really?
A stunning turnaround, I'd say, after losses in the previous 2 years.
It's a big swing.
They're projecting a profit of around US $88 billion.
Wow.
It's attributed to, a combination of factors, really. It's like soaring equity markets, rising gold prices, and a stronger US dollar.
That's amazing. A real testament to their strategic management.
It is, isn't it?
And their ability to, navigate global economic uncertainties. It reminds you that even in these turbulent times, some institutions, they can thrive.
They can.
By making smart investment decisions and capitalizing on market trends.
You said it. The Swiss National Bank's success, it highlights the importance of having a diversified portfolio and the potential for gains even when some asset classes are underperforming.
Absolutely. Now, here's some news that could have some pretty significant consequences for global supply chains.
Oh, what's that?
Indonesia is cracking down on exports of used cooking oil and palm oil residue.
Interesting.
They're tightening regulations to make sure there's enough supply for their domestic market.
I see.
They suspect that some companies might be mixing crude palm oil into these exports to circumvent existing restrictions.
Indonesia is a big player in the palm oil market.
There we are.
And this move could impact, global prices and supply chains.
What are the ramifications for Malaysia, do you think?
Well, we're also a significant palm oil producer and exporter.
We are.
So if Indonesia's crackdown reduces global supply, it could lead to higher palm oil prices.
Right.
Which could benefit, Malaysian producers.
Yeah.
But it could also disrupt, existing trade flows and create some uncertainty in the market.
It's a situation that really requires close monitoring. Any significant shifts in the palm oil market
For sure.
can have those wide-ranging effects on the agricultural sector, on the economy as a whole.
Absolutely. Understanding those interconnections of global markets, that's crucial for investors.
Yeah.
Businesses operating in a globalized economy.
What happens in one part of the world can really have a ripple effect on others.
It can. Okay, let's wrap up with some news from the automotive industry.
Okay.
Hyundai Motor Group is making a record investment in South Korea, primarily focusing on, you guessed it, electric vehicles and new technologies.
They're putting their money where their mouth is.
They are. A whopping US $16.7 billion.
That's a lot.
It is. They're aiming to secure their future growth amidst those global uncertainties.
Uh-huh.
And the shift, of course, towards electric mobility.
This is a clear indication of their commitment to innovation
It is.
and their belief in the long-term potential of the EV market.
It signals that the global automotive industry is undergoing, a pretty significant transformation.
Yeah.
With these traditional automakers, like Hyundai, making substantial bets on electric vehicles to stay competitive.
It's a trend to watch for sure.
As this transition to electric mobility gains momentum globally,
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how it impacts the automotive landscape in Malaysia and Southeast Asia.
Okay, we have covered a lot of ground today. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll discuss the most exciting news of the day and what it all means for you, our listeners.
All right, so let's dive back into some of that news that really caught our attention today. There's definitely a lot to unpack and analyze.
Yeah, there really is. What stood out to you as like the most impactful development, especially for our listeners here in Malaysia?
For me, I think that failed public bank takeover attempt, that's a big one.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about the future of the financial sector here.
Uh-huh.
Is consolidation going to be harder than we thought? And what does this mean for public bank strategy moving forward?
It did seem like they were making a pretty decisive move to expand. But this setback, it throws a wrench into their plans.
Definitely.
And I'm also curious about what it means for LPI Capital.
Oh, yeah.
They're in a tough spot, right?
They are.
With Public Bank as a major shareholder now.
Exactly. It'll be interesting to watch how their relationship changes, if it does.
Yeah.
And if Public Bank tries to exert more influence on LPI Capital's direction.
Right. And, this could have a ripple effect on the whole insurance sector.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely something investors should be watching closely.
Now, something else that caught my eye, that Dialog group venture into oil and gas.
That was a big one.
Yeah, pretty significant shift for a company known for midstream operations.
It is. They're being pretty ambitious. It seems like they want to become a bigger player in the energy industry.
And with that 14-year contract.
Right, for that Baram Junior Cluster project.
That gives them a long-term presence in the upstream segment.
It does. Makes you wonder about the risks involved, though.
Right.
Are they spreading themselves too thin, or are they diversifying?
It's a good question. Tough to say right now.
It is. It all depends on their execution,
Right.
how well they manage those upstream operations.
Right.
If they can use what they already know and handle the risks that come with oil and gas exploration,
Right.
this could be huge for them.
Yeah, it's a story worth following.
For sure.
Now, switching gears to the political landscape,
Yes.
I'm a little concerned about that tension within the unity government
It is a little worrying. Investors should definitely pay attention to that.
because political stability is so important for the economy.
It is. And any issues within the government, well,
Yeah.
they can create uncertainty, that's for sure.
And how do you think this rift will affect Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's reforms?
Good question. His success hinges on the government's stability.
Exactly.
If the coalition falls apart, it could really hinder his ability to get anything done.
Like, could lead to policy paralysis.
It could.
Wow. So the political scene is adding even more complexity to investing here.
It does. Understanding how politics and economics affect each other, that's key.
Now, on the international front, I got to say that record profit for the Swiss National Bank, that's impressive.
It is, especially with all the economic uncertainty globally.
Mm-hmm. What do you think we can learn from that?
I think it shows how important strategic asset allocation is
Uh-huh.
and taking a long-term view.
Right.
They weathered the storm and found opportunities to make some serious returns.
It also shows how important diversification is.
It does.
They didn't put all their eggs in one basket. Right?
Yeah.
They invested in different assets.
Equities, bonds, gold, even foreign currencies, all of that helped them.
Makes sense. Now, what about Indonesia's palm oil crackdown?
That one's interesting. It could really change the global palm oil market.
How so?
Well, if Indonesia focuses on their domestic needs, the global supply is going to tighten.
Yeah.
And prices
Yeah.
could go up, which could be good for Malaysia, but it also means trade disruptions and more market uncertainty.
So good and bad, we'll have to wait and see.
Exactly. The palm oil industry will be watching this very closely.
Last but not least, Hyundai's big investment. That's a clear sign that electric vehicles are the future.
It is. The automotive industry is changing fast, and Hyundai is taking a gamble on EVs.
And this has big implications for Malaysia, right?
Definitely, for the automotive sector and beyond.
We need to do more to encourage the adoption of EVs here.
We do. Charging stations, incentives, policies, all of that.
If we want to keep up with the rest of the world,
Exactly. It's a great opportunity for Malaysia We need to support EV technology.
Attract investments, develop a skilled workforce, all of that.
Absolutely. There are a lot of challenges ahead, but also exciting opportunities.
It's a crossroads, for sure.
Huh.
What are your key takeaways for our listeners, as they try to navigate all of this? I think the biggest takeaway for me is, just how important it is to stay informed.
Absolutely.
Things are changing so quickly,
All the time.
both here and around the world, and it can really affect our finances, our investments.
You need to stay up to date on everything. Market trends, the economy, even geopolitics.
Right, and like you said earlier, diversification is key.
It really is.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spread those investments around.
Different regions, different asset classes, different industries. It all helps to reduce your risk.
And it can boost those returns, too.
Exactly.
But it's also important to do your homework.
Always.
Understand what's driving the markets, and maybe talk to a financial advisor if you need help.
Sound advice. And try not to get caught up in the day-to-day ups and downs, the hype, the panic, all of that.
Focus on those long-term goals.
Exactly.
Stay disciplined.
Because in the end, knowledge is power.
It really is, especially when it comes to your money.
So keep learning, keep exploring, and stay engaged with what's happening in the financial world.
Great advice. And if you want to hear more insightful analysis and discussions about the markets,
well, you know where to find us.
That's right. Subscribe to Malaysia Money Matters for more deep dives into the financial forces shaping our world.
Until next time, happy investing.
Hey there. Thanks for tuning in. If you would like a deeper dive into all the investment opportunities from today's news, subscribe to my newsletter at moneymatters.substack.com. I will be sharing a deeper analysis of the key investment opportunities from today's news, including what makes these opportunities stand out and how they fit into the broader market trends. By subscribing to the Malaysia Money Matters newsletter, you will also get exclusive insights on my watch list and portfolio and fundamental reports on Malaysian listed companies.